What is up, guys? Welcome back. If you're new, my name is Charles, mXrevival, mXrevival.com, and I've got a good one for you SR300 owners today. Today we're going to mock up a massive, oversized aftermarket fuel tank on my SR300, but there's just one big gaping problem we have to address before we're actually able to do that. Some of you guys already know I've been making mods for the SR300 ever since I bought mine brand new in 2020, and the mods list on mXrevival.com just keeps getting bigger, so check it out when you have some free time. And at the end of this video, I'll point all of you guys in the right direction to find all the other mods I've done already. Now today I'm hoping to add one more mod to that list, and here's why. I get asked this question all the time, and I see it asked all the time on some of the Facebook, SSR forums, groups, whatever you want to call them. Can I put an oversized tank on my SR300? And as you guys can see, the short answer is no, but I hope to turn that into a yes for all of us very soon. And so today we'll be going through the first steps in that process. And so having said that, this will be a two-part video series on the oversized tank. Main reason is we're going to have to make some parts that just don't exist, because that's what it's going to take to get this oversized tank onto my 300 and all of your 300s. And so a quick side note for you guys that have the SR250 and the SR450, don't think I forgot about you guys and other Chinese dirt bike owners. If you don't have an SSR, just think, what is your Chinese bike a copy of? For example, 2016 CRF 450R copy. The 250 and the 450 are copies of the Honda X model, 250X, 450X. And so if you start thinking along those lines, you can find out what aftermarket parts may already exist for your machine. Now in the case of the 250 and the 450, since those are already modeled after the Honda X model dirt bikes, which were off-road bikes, you guys probably already have tanks that are a little bit bigger than stock, or a little bit bigger than the motocross version tank I have on this bike. So that's kind of nice. If you want something even bigger, you guys can look up tanks for the 2007 CRF 450X, and I think you'll find what you're looking for. But for us poor 300 guys, it's just not that easy. No such plug and play tank option exists, and here's why. As I just mentioned, the 300 is a clone of the 2016 CRF 450R. The main cloned parts are of course the body, the tank, the seat, the upper portion of the frame, and a bunch of little things like the suspension look, air filter, brakes, little things like that. And so while I think because of those reasons the SR300 has a little bit of a leg up over the 250 and the 450, especially in the looks department and the aftermarket parts department, the tank doesn't fall into that category. As you guys can see, the 2016 Honda was a fuel injected model, and therefore this big gaping hole in the bottom of the tank was for a fuel pump. There's a fuel pump that goes in here on the Honda that normally sends fuel to the injector and then to the engine. And I don't think I need to tell you guys you have a carburetor in this bike, mostly because you guys hit me up about your carburetors more than literally anything else. So you're very, very well aware of the fact that you have a carburetor. But this tank will not work with a carburetor, as you can clearly see. And so this is what we're gonna go ahead and try and start to fix today. And so thank you very much to Aaron Jones, who is an amazing mXrevival supporter and customer and fellow 300 owner. We have his brand new tank. He went ahead and purchased this on eBay. He got a killer deal on it. You guys could probably do the same. And he just had it shipped straight to me so I could start this mod. And so step one, we're gonna go ahead and strap on the GoPro with the chest mount. We're gonna see if Aaron's tank will cross over and fit this bike. We're gonna see if all my tank accessories, AKA your tank accessories, will bolt onto this tank and drop into the bike properly. We're gonna check all the clearances, see if the shrouds fit, look underneath, see what kind of room we have to work with this big gaping hole we've got here. And then of course the assembly we're gonna need to create to install your fuel valve or petcock and then get this thing working on this bike. So let's do it, guys. Let's rip the stock tank out of my bike and get this thing mocked up, dropped in, and see what we're working with. All right, everybody, welcome to first person shooter mode. You get a little behind the scenes look of how everything's going down here. All right, guys, first step is going to be to disconnect your fuel line. As you guys can also see, I have my Electron back in. We moved up to Boise, Idaho from California, and in doing so, we went up about 2,500 feet in elevation. And the FCR video I recently did, where I put the FCR in my 20 for you guys, jetted it, show you guys the inside, all that stuff. It didn't run well up here. To no surprise, carburetor went up in elevation, things changed, needs to be jetted. And so you guys can check that video out in the description below. But why would I want to mess with all that if I have my Electron mod that we made for you guys, and it runs perfectly no matter where I am, and it has no jets? Kind of a no-brainer, right? You guys can also check that out in the description as well. Show you where to get it. We actually created the mod, really proud of it. Use it, love it, all that. Carrying on, I don't actually suspect any issues to arise with mounting this tank, but you guys already know our mission isn't so much about the mounting and more so about the giant hole in the bottom of that fuel injected oversized tank for the Honda. And so today we're going to go through the process of how we're going to custom create a block off plate for that bad boy, because not only would a lot of you guys like to run this, but I actually think it looks pretty awesome. So I'm excited to mock this up and get a look at it together. I have a few more mod videos coming for you guys as well. We got a little care package in the mail from SSR Motorsports. He sent us one of his advanced timing keys. So we'll be able to put that in the engine and it should advance the timing a little bit and maybe get some more pep out of this bad boy. So that'll be exciting to try that with the Electron and the Pro Circuit and all that sort of stuff. I also had to delete the key. It's still on here, but I had to bypass the wiring. These things are pieces of shit, as you may already know. And so I'll probably come up with a cool switch system for you guys too in the future. And then lastly on the upcoming list, the stock tire, this little pie cutter. It is a 100 wide, I think. 100, 90, 19, yeah, so a 100 wide tire. It's like something you would find on a 125 two-stroke back in the day. So not really appropriate for this bike, although I didn't really have any problems with it. Anyways, we're gonna jump up to a 120 wide rear tire. I picked up a set of the Tusk tires. They are a really budget appropriate tire for this bike, matches the price point of this bike really well. So I went ahead and threw those up on the website on mXrevival as well. Had a couple guys pick them up, really like them so far. We added the Tusk lithium battery to replace this. A lot of you guys are having problems with that battery, as am I. Anyways, I'm excited to try those tires because this bike could definitely use a little more meat in the back. Like I said, performance-wise, I think these are fine for the bike's power output, but as soon as you get this little guy into some loose stuff, it's not good. So very easy, guys. Tank is loose. Yeah, so you guys can see I have my key switch down here. Here's the connector for it. I do like how everything has a connector that's really nice and clean. Here's the other end of that connector. And if you want to bypass your key switch jumper, let's see if this is triangle shaped. The two holes that are on the high side of that triangle directly across from each other, I just have some, what was that? I think it was grip safety wire actually, like the stuff you'd wrap around here. Anyways, works fine. It's thick enough, it won't burn up. It just lets the power through this at all times. May kill your battery. If you start your bike every week, it probably won't. And so let's check this bad boy out. This is a super nice looking tank. I really like it. So we're gonna drop this in and first off, just see if it fits. Get the hour meter out of the way. And I'm hitting something. I'm not surprised because, you know, there's a lot of accessory in here and these tanks are made as big as they possibly can be, like in every direction so that you don't hit, or so that you can get the most fuel into the tank, excuse me. So we may end up needing to move this loom down. I'm not sure if that's what it's hitting. Let's drop that in, get the bike back up in the air. Look at that thing. Turn the bike into a damn camel. See what kind of trouble we're getting ourselves into today. All right, what are we hitting? Looks like we're sitting flat in the back. You can hear it. We won't really know if we're flat in the front until we get the mounting hardware on up here. Underneath, we are tapping that wire loom that I thought we were tapping. So I know you guys can't really see it very well. But back here, let me get a flashlight. All right, guys, so back there, we're hitting all that mess. You can see that green wire right where I have the taped up connector right behind it, that green wire, and there's a big loom there. It's getting pinched on this U-shaped frame rail right here. So we're gonna maybe need to move some of that stuff around. And it looks like I have a nice little gap in front of the tank here. So maybe I can just cut that zip tie, slide everything over and see if we get the clearance we need. Electron throttle cable. It's doing okay. We have a nice little elbow on that to remedy that anyways, but I can see we have a lot of room here between the top of the engine and the bottom of the tank. So that is really good because we're trying to find what kind of clearance we have, and I'll show you why shortly. All right, so let's drop this back down. We're gonna go ahead and snip this guy here. I like this jacketing, protecting these wires. It's thoughtful, thank you. So I'm thinking if I can slide that over just a little bit and get it to go underneath that gap that we had in front of the tank, right in about that area there. Let's see. Drop it back in, get Bertha back up in the air. Guys, I still really like this bike. I don't know necessarily what it is, but obviously I was drawn to it enough to buy it and start making these videos. I just think it's a really good option for so many people. It's like the bike most people need. We got it looking cool, and honestly, you guys are probably the best part of the whole thing. I've said it a couple times, but out of all the dirt bikers and setting whores and egotistical riders, you guys are just some of the most willing to learn, which is awesome. I really appreciate that, and I'm always willing to learn myself, so pretty cool. You guys are awesome. All right, what are we working with? Let me see if I can slide that bad boy over. Let's see if I can use a tool so I can do it in such a way that you guys can see. I got a pipe spring puller. This may be rather difficult, trying to get the camera pointed up there and the flashlight and the GoPro on my chest. I'm leaning back like a cheap stripper at a dirtbag strip club. All right, so I'm pulling that back. There's a little hook on this. We've got that moved over a little bit. Feels pretty solid. I think that's gonna do it. Pretty sure that's gonna do it. Let's go ahead and get this thing back off and transfer over some of the bits and pieces that you'll need to transfer over to this tank from your stock one. And once we do that, we'll test fit it again. We'll get everything actually bolted in. And I'll show you guys some more parts that I kind of have going on to do some more mock-up for what's yet to come. All right, so you guys can see we have some things here, some buttons to move over. This is what your seat kind of grips into underneath. Actually, I'll just show you. That slides into this guy here, and then this hooks into like the front of your subframe area. And then this guy here is for the rubber strap that brings the tank down to the frame. So we want to move those over. These are number 5 Allens. Oh, sketchy. I thought that wasn't going to come out. Definitely a very good idea to lubricate these. You can see a little bit of corrosion there, and they get stuck, you're done. It's really hard to get them out once they're stuck. So pray for me. That one's stuck. What happens is these inserts start to spin, and hopefully that doesn't also cause a fuel leak. It shouldn't. There should be enough plastic around it, but man, well, it looks like this would go there appropriately. So should be the same. Sorry guys, I can't get that one out. You know what it's for now. Hopefully yours comes out. If not, talk to your friendly neighborhood SSR dealer, since they won't let me get you guys parts. And these, oh, that's like a barely came out. There's like, I don't know, maybe they put thread lock on these. I doubt it, but man, that is tough. I'm gonna stop using the impact. Should make a difference, but that came out, thankfully. So these are definitely getting some lube or some waterproof grease when they go back in. I don't know, dude, they put thread locker on that. Wow, okay, well, good luck to you guys in the future doing this mod. It may be easier to just go ahead and since these are 2016 Honda clone parts, just buy all this stuff, leave it on your tank, just leave your stock tank the way it is, get new parts for this. These can't be that expensive. I will show you guys where to get those in a bit. We're not even gonna mess around with Aaron's tank. We're just gonna put some grease on these straight away. I'm not even trying to replace this thing. Yeah, this is what you guys would use, just a little bit of waterproof grease. Definitely don't wanna use the impact to put these back in the tank, obviously. And then there were a couple little sleeves, crush sleeves on the back of these, so be mindful not to let them hit the deck and forget to put them back in. They're what keep your bolts from going in too far and sort of smashing this plastic bracket. No problems with this piece at all, very good. We'll go ahead and grease up and reinstall the strap bolt. All right, there's an issue. This is too big. The Honda thread pitch or thread size or shank size, I guess, of the bolt is smaller. So if you guys are doing this mod, you need to go ahead and buy that from OEM Honda, an OEM Honda bolt. This one is too large. It will not thread in there. Yeah, these are too large. So the SSR tank parts, you guys are gonna have to just leave these alone. So I guess it doesn't matter that mine's not coming out. And you'll need to hit up the OEM Honda microfiche. I'll show you guys real quick how you do that. You're gonna wanna go ahead and log into any OEM like Rocky Mountain. You're gonna wanna venture over to Honda OEM. Then you're gonna wanna go ahead and select motorcycle, select your year, select your machine, and go to the fuel tank microfiche and then locate these parts, find their numbers, throw them in your cart, buy them. So these will be Honda parts for sure right here. So far, the only thing that's swapped over properly was the front tank mount. And this strap is gonna work fine when you get a Honda parts here. And these here for the shrouds, you know what? These look like they might be too small also. Luckily, I keep a handy dandy Bolt Motorcycle Hardware bodywork fastener kit for the Honda for just such an occasion. And a lot of these bolts wouldn't swap over into the bodywork on the bike the way you see it. So now we know why. Oh, there we go. Look at, thank you, Uncle Dave, that bolt. These are a little bit smaller. They have the same shoulder and they get you away from Allen's. I like that, 8mm head. Very cool. So I might even be able to have enough of these little guys in here to get everything else taken care of. We'll see. So I got 3, that's Radiator Shroud. Looks like that's all I had in here. This is a mix of SSR and Honda. But we're not out of luck yet. Let's see, because I also have a Bolt Motorcycle Hardware 2-stroke Pro Pack. You guys can find these on my website too. These are the ultimate bolt kits. It's like $400 worth of OEM stuff for, I don't know, 60 or something. You buy one, it lasts forever. So there's 3 more. I don't know any other manufacturer. Yep, it fits. I don't know any other manufacturer that uses this size shank on their bikes. Only Honda. It's the only place I've seen it. Anything in there? Yeah, so we can probably make do with those to mock things up at least. And then these look like they'll be perfect for the radiator shrouds. So we got a temporary little rubber strap bolt there that'll work. It's the right thread pitch and shank size. But again, just hit the OEM Honda parts microfiche I showed you. Get what you need, done deal. Gas cap, good to go there. And so let's get this thing put back on the bike and see if our tank strap works and our front mounting point works. So there's the rear strap. Actually, you want to do the front first, because if you don't, then you end up fighting this front bolt against that tank strap. All right, so this works, and it looks like there's even enough room for my hour meter. Mounts on this plate, although now it is very tight quarters. I think you guys are gonna have to get creative with a short socket, or this wrench is working well as well. Yeah, deep sockets, no bueno in there. All right, so we got this tight down in there. I was able to get it with an 8mm, just barely. If you guys don't have an hour meter bracket, it will be a lot easier. Or if you have a wobble extension, something that would allow you to sort of let your socket rotate a little bit, you might be able to get over this hump a little bit easier. Just a thought for you. And we got the tank strap in the back. Looking good. Everything seems to be seated well. We'll go ahead and mock this up the rest of the way. Now we got to break out these little Honda style bolts with the smaller shank versus our stock thicker shanked SSR hardware. And we get to move over to the 8mm. Good. I like that better. It's just kind of more cohesive with dirt bikes in general, having it that style bolt. Ooh, yeah, buddy. Everything's lining up good. These also have like a washer style on them already too, so they'll hold the bodywork appropriately without letting it fly off, and then they also will bottom out because they have that shoulder that will hit the tank and fit inside of the hole for the shroud, and then that's when you know you're done. So everything's looking good in the tank above. We do still have this 5mm Allen style guide down here. This is just something you're not going to be able to get away from. It's part of the SSR radiator tie-in point, and just is what it is. But everything's lining up. This is lining up fine too. No problem at all. That looks pretty cool. I like it. Let's get the seat on. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to snap the seat into this button because, as you guys saw, mine is spinning in the tank and probably the wrong shank size anyways. We just want to make sure that the seat fits and the bolts go in And you know, so far this is kind of what we expected, being that this bike is a clone, but you never know. We are going to be able to hook this guy into this location here. So that will get us to keep the front of the seat down at least. Yep, that hook is still, it's right in the perfect location. So that's going to be good. Bolt number 1, perfect. Bolt number 2, perfect. I suspect no issues with this radiator shroud. Other side went on, no problem. Kind of cool to get the skeletonized look of everything. That is a really nice tank. I like it. It looks really good. I'd like to get one of these. Let's check the fit and finish. That there feels exactly the same. I can't even tell the difference. Really good job on this tank. It looks awesome. I love the way that looks. Ergonomically, I honestly can't even tell the difference, so really happy with that. And now we're just concerned with that big, nasty hole in the bottom of this tank. I'm gonna show you guys exactly what we're gonna do as soon as we make sure that we know we have some room for the petcock or fuel valve. And then we're gonna start prototyping some parts that don't exist yet. So this guy here, our fuel valve, our on-off valve, we need to make sure we have room for this now because we're gonna need to mount that into the bottom of the tank. And ideally it will be right in the center of that big gaping hole that you guys see in the bottom of the oversized tank. This is where the customizing comes into play. So I want to measure the depth of this fuel valve. Let's just say it's about 2 inches dead nuts from the bottom of the tank to the bottom of the fuel valve. All right, what are we working with? All right, we're in the tank hole. There's the bottom of the tank. I have more than 2 inches. We are lined up with pretty much the, let's see if I can show you, the bottom of this valve cover is about the center point on the big hole in the tank. And so that gives us a lot of room. Very cool. So next up, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and explain that and see what we will be working with. Guys, this is awesome news and it looks really cool, I think. So the tank fits, no problem. Seat, shrouds went right back on, everything. You guys are gonna need to get some Honda OEM parts when you buy one of these oversized tanks, just to make sure everything fits. You saw the shank size of the bolts is smaller on this actual Honda product than is the SSR tank. Really not a big deal. Those Bolt motorcycle hardware bodywork fastener kits are like $20. I don't have those on the site yet, but I do have the Pro Pack if you want to check that out. And so next up, that big gaping hole. What the hell are we going to do about that? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, and luckily I'm going through this exact same problem on a RMZ 250 chassis that I'm stuffing a 2-stroke engine into, an RM250 AF build. Let me show you. And so here we have an RMZ 4-stroke tank. As you can see, fuel injected, big old hole for a fuel pump. Well, the way I've been getting around this, or trying to get around this right now, is 3D printing. I'm going to send this tank to my buddy Josh at 3DP Moto. He helps me with a lot of projects. And what we've effectively done on this tank, and we are about to produce this block-off plate out of metal, is start with some 3D printed prototypes. And so this was our first block-off plate. I'm glad I found it. It's no good. We had a revision 2 made for this, but we're doing the exact same thing. Blocking off the tank, getting a leak-free seal, and then we're tapping this for a petcock or a fuel valve. That way it can properly feed your bike's carburetor. And so this kind of stuff is a lot of fun. It's a little bit off the beaten path. So that's how it's done. And so I'm gonna box this tank up. We're gonna send it over to Josh, and let me show you real quick a couple of the parts I'm gonna send with Josh and some of the ideas I had to get these dimensions without buying the fuel pump, because that thing's really expensive. It's like 300 bucks. So first up, I went back onto that Honda OEM parts microfiche I showed you guys earlier, and I got a couple of Honda parts from the same bike, the 16450R. All these tanks that have these fuel pumps installed also have an O-ring, so I went ahead and just bought the O-ring because we can find out some dimensions from this, as well as the bottom of the tank. And one other thing I got was this clamping plate, I guess if you want to call it. This holds the fuel pump into the Honda tank, matches the bolt pattern, etc. So it sort of smashes the fuel pump into the tank, bites it in there, and then this O-ring would sit right here. Now I was hoping this thing would be a little more telling, this plate, where we could actually pull dimensions off of it, but the O-ring just slides right through it, and so that's not going to work. I'll probably just go ahead and return this. Nice, you can just return stuff if it doesn't fit. I could even buy a used fuel pump off of eBay, use it for dimensions, send it back. It's kind of messed up, but you could do that if you want. And so at least we still have the tank and this O-ring. When I set this O-ring into the bottom of the tank, it sort of rests on it just perfectly on this 45-degree angle that the tank has cast or mold into the bottom of it. And when I look at fuel pumps online, you can also go to eBay for photos. You can see that the pump actually has that same 45 that would fit right into the bottom of this tank, and so you can tell that's where the O-ring goes. So I'm going to be able to send Josh this O-ring and this tank. He's going to be able to make me a block-off plate, and then the last thing I'm going to need to send Josh is my fuel valve, so he can go ahead and take dimensions off of it, so that I know by doing that you guys will be able to reuse the one you have. And so to sum this all up, you take the tank, you mock it up, you find out if it fits, then you send it all to the 3D printer, get my buddy Josh to 3D print a prototype. If we need a revision too, because the first one you send doesn't work, no problem. It's very easy to rapid prototype things quickly with 3D printing. Once we get that part, we test fit it. If everything is good, we move on to the alloy stage. We get that part made out of metal, and after that you take it for a test ride. Down the road from there, guys, ideally I would get this set up in such a way that I can test it, it works, and then I have a block-off plate on my website for you guys. It should fit absolutely any aftermarket oversized tank that you should want or could want for your bike. I'm not sure how many options are out there. This is an Acerbi's tank, so you guys need to stay tuned for part 2 of this video. By that time, I'll have the tank back from Josh. I'll have some 3D printed parts to show you. We'll be able to test fit everything again, and if that fits, we'll go ahead and move on with the process. So as promised, guys, you wanted more mods. Here they are. Go ahead and check out this playlist that just smashed me in the head. That playlist will take you guys over to all the mods I've already done for this bike previously, and as always, thank you for watching. I hope you really enjoyed the video. Like it, share it, subscribe. I appreciate every single one of you. Until next time, shred safe. I'll talk to you soon.